Hey guys, how's it going? Master Cal here, and today I'm going to be doing the 15th video of my 2021 NFL offseason preview series for the New England Patriots. So Tom Brady obviously left New England and won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, while Bill Belichick and the Patriots wallowed in mediocrity. They weren't bad enough to get a high draft pick, but they weren't good enough to compete for the playoffs. And a lot of that was due to opt-outs, some key players deciding not to play in the season because of COVID. But some of that was also due to the fact that they had arguably the worst skill position group in the NFL by far. So we'll see how aggressive Belichick is in trying to get back into contention in a division where obviously the Bills are very, very good and the Dolphins have made a very quick turnaround. Alright, so their starters, you have Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, 4th rounder in 2019 out of Auburn. There was some talk that Stidham was going to be the starter this past year before the Patriots brought in Cam Newton late to be the starter. And Stidham barely played. I think he played in like one game, like replacing Hoyer after like the game was already over, something like that. And it doesn't sound like he's shown enough to be a starting quarterback, so Patriots will probably look for somebody else at the position. At running back is Sony Michelle, first-round pick in 2018 out of Georgia. Michelle had a pretty good rookie season in 2018, but he hasn't been able to repeat that since. He wasn't fully 100% in 2019 after undergoing offseason surgery, and then 2020 he lost playing time to Damian Harris, third-rounder in 2019 out of Alabama. At left tackle is Isaiah Wynn, who also was a first-rounder in 2018 from Georgia. And the knock on him has been injuries. He's played in a grand total of 18 combined games over his 3 seasons, which would be 48 potential games because of various injuries. Did not play at all his rookie season, played about half the games in his sophomore season, and he played in 10 out of 16 games last year. So, because of those longevity issues, the Patriots may elect to go in a different direction there. New England currently does not have a left guard or a center under contract as things stand right now. At right guard is Shaquille Mason, who's been with them for quite some time now. I think he has like 2 years left on his deal, maybe 3. And then at right tackle is Marcus Cannon. Cannon was one of those players who opted out last season, and Cannon's replacement, Michael Onwenu, was outstanding at right tackle, so Cannon's days of being a Patriot are probably over, especially given the fact that Cannon's play was on the decline before he opted out. A wide receiver, Matthew Slater has the highest cap hit of any wide receiver on this Patriots team, despite the fact that he barely plays any offensive snaps anymore, but he's widely regarded as one of the best special teamers in the league. And as long as he wants to keep playing, he'll be a member of the Patriots, I imagine. Next to him is Nikhil Harry, first-rounder in 2019 out of Arizona State. And Harry so far has been a bust. He's missed some time due to injuries, and he hasn't really established himself as a receiver yet. He was a bit better as in his sophomore season than he was in his rookie season, but still wasn't ideal. In the slot is long, reliable Julian Edelman. Now, Edelman played in only, I think, 6 games last year before suffering an injury, which, according to recent reports, he isn't fully 100% recovered from. And so we will see if that impacts Edelman's longevity there. Maybe he winds up joining Brady in Tampa Bay or something. At tight end is Matt Lacos, who also opted out. Lacos was signed in 2019 to be the starter, but he didn't really do all that much, and then he was rumored to maybe be on the chopping block, and then he opted out of the season. So, yeah. Lacos has been all over the league. He's been with the Giants. He's been with the Broncos. I think he's been with the Jets as well. Maybe a couple other teams in there. On the defensive side, you got Josh Yucci, second rounder in 2020 out of Michigan, who didn't play a whole lot as a rookie. He's a guy. He's a guy that the coaching staff likes, kind of like who Kyle Van Noy was before he left in free agency for the Dolphins for Belichick. Defensive tackle Bo Allen, He was signed in free agency last season by the Patriots, but did not play in 2020 because of injury. Former Eagle, former Buccaneer. Next to him is Akeem Spence, another former Buccaneer. He's also been with the Dolphins. He's been with the Lions, I think. He's been with, I believe, he was with the Saints. And he was picked up later in the season by the Patriots. Off the other edge is Chase Winovich, a college teammate of Yucci, third rounder in 2019 as a Wolverine. And Winovich, Winovich has been pretty solid so far. He hasn't been super consistent, but he has had some good games in there. At linebacker, Dante Hightower, first rounder in 2012 out of Alabama by New England. Hightower opted out of last season, and as a result, this would have been a contract year for him, but because the opt-out told his contract, he still has 1 year remaining. Next to him is Brandon King, who has barely played the last 2 seasons because of injuries. He's more of a special teamer. And then Jawan Bentley, who was the primary linebacker for the Patriots because of the opt-outs and the free agency departures New England had at the position. And he's been solid. Cornerback, Stefan Gilmore, who is set to enter the final year of his contract with the Patriots. Gilmore, a couple years ago, was one of the best cornerbacks in the league. However, his play started to slip this past year before he suffered an injury. There were rumors that the Patriots were going to trade him, but the Patriots wanted a first-round pick plus a player, which no one was going to give up for a season and a half of control. And now for a season of control coming off of a notable injury, his trade value is definitely lower. Next is Jawan Williams, a second-rounder in 2019 out of Vanderbilt. Williams has barely played, which is partly due to the Patriots' deep secondary, so he was a healthy scratch most of his rookie season, and he played mostly special teams this past year. He's also gotten some work at safety as well. And then in the slot is Jonathan Jones, a former undrafted free agent who's done pretty well for himself. Safety, Devin McCourty, has been with the Patriots since, I think, 2010. He re-signed to a 2-year deal this past offseason, so he is in a contract year, and he's still playing at a high level. And then the other safety is Patrick Chung, who was also an opt-out last year. Chung has 4 seasons left on his contract as he has signed extensions in 2 consecutive seasons. On special teams, their long snapper is Joe Cardona. The punter is Jake Bailey. And they did not have a kicker under contract at the end of the season. They signed a pair of kickers, Roberto Aguayo, former second-round pick of the Bucs, and then Justin Rohrwasser, who they drafted last year in the 5th round. And those 2 guys were signed to futures deals. They will probably be competing for the kicking job in camp. Nick Folk was the primary kicker during the season for the Patriots, but he is currently a free agent. The Patriots are among the league leaders in cap space. Right now, they have the 3rd most cap in the league at $62.2 million, which gives them a lot of ammunition to pursue pretty much whoever they want in free agency. So, taking a look at their in-house free agents, guard Joe Thuney, who's regarded as one of the best at his position in the NFL. He played out last year under the franchise tag, as he was a last-minute tag addition. A lot of people believe that he's not going to be tagged a second time, but then again, there weren't really reports saying that he was going to be tagged the first time, and the Patriots might decide to tag him again. So we'll see, because again, they do have ample cap space to do that and still add to other positions on the roster. So we'll see if Belichick secretly tags him again without anybody expecting it, or if he does indeed leave in free agency. Starting outside corner, Jason McCourty. Running back, James White. Their 2 starting defensive tackles, Lawrence Guy and Adam Butler. Starting center, David Andrews. A lot of the reports have said that the Patriots want to retain Andrews over Thuney. Guard, Jolene Illuminor. Defensive end, John Simon. Running back, Rex Burkhead. Starting quarterback, Cam Newton. More reports have said that Newton is probably not going to be back with the Patriots next year. Newton said he would like to be back, and so I guess it's certainly possible he could be a fallback option if the Patriots don't get a legitimate upgrade in free agency. Newton had a solid-ish season, but the lack of weapons really hurt him. Let's see. Safety Terrence Brooks. Starting wide receiver Demir Bird. Defensive end Shalik Calhoun. Safety Cody Davis. Cornerback Justin Bethel. Backup quarterback Brian Hoyer. The aforementioned Nick Folk. Defensive end Brandon Copeland. Defensive lineman Carl Davis. Guard James Ferentz. Wide receiver Dante Moncrief. Guard Marcus Martin, who was signed at the end of the season by the Patriots as a street free agent, and he, according to Over the Cap, he has re-signed. I haven't heard anywhere else that he did re-sign, but yeah. Starting defensive end Deatrick Wise. Wide receiver Quincy Adeboye, who I believe missed all last season due to injury, is an exclusive rights free agent. Cornerback J.C. Jackson, who is a huge part of the Patriots defense, and is a very ball-hawking corner, is a restricted free agent. The Patriots, per reports, would likely have to place the first-round tender on him to avoid losing him to an offer sheet. And then fullback Jakob Johnson is an exclusive rights free agent. Okay, so the Patriots needs definitely quarterback, because Stidham is not the guy, and the Patriots, per reports, have been connected to all quarterbacks that have been available via trade. They've been connected to Stafford. They were connected to Wentz briefly, but the price for those two guys was too high for their liking. They've been connected to Mariota. We'll see if they go after someone in free agency like a Jameis Winston or Mitchell Trubisky. I've seen a lot of people mocking Mac Jones to them at number 15 in the draft. So either way, it sounds like the Patriots want to make a big move at quarterback. They're definitely going to need interior offensive line reinforcements, especially if they lose both Tooney and Andrews to free agency. They don't really have any in-house replacements for those guys. And if they also want to upgrade from Wynn at left tackle and get someone more durable, they could certainly go that route. Wide receiver is an obvious need because of who they have there. Ditto for tight end. With definitely defensive line reinforcements with their two starting defensive tackles, free agents. Cornerback help, because I don't believe they're going to want Joanne Williams starting, and definitely if they also trade Gilmore. And as far as secondary needs, they could maybe add some pass rushing help, and they could also maybe add some reinforcements at linebacker as well. For players that could possibly be cap casualties, Cannon for sure because of his replacement on Waynu. I could see Edelman being a cap casualty if they want to get younger there. Lacos, although his release wouldn't do a whole lot, but they probably don't really need him. They could cut Allen. They could cut King. Gilmore they'll probably trade. And then that's probably about it for cap casualties. I could also see them maybe selling low on Sony Michelle potentially. Maybe not necessarily now, but maybe like during training camp they trade away Michelle. I'm going to guess they're going to decline his fifth-year option, and especially because you got Damian Harris, you got J.J. Taylor, who Belichick said might play a bigger role. Now, and it also depends on what they do with their other running backs. You got Brandon Bolden, who's back after he opted out, and then you got a couple of free agents who might leave in White and Burkhead. So, depending on what they do at the running back position, I could see them trying to trade Michelle away. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next offseason preview series video.